We started by building a soffit to hide a projector screen that will drop down in front of the TV for movie nights. The soffit is roughly the same dimensions as the coffered ceiling detail that was original to the house, so it blends in nicely and keeps it all discreet. On the other side of the room, we framed a small opening in the ceiling joists and built a box in the attic to house the motorized lift that the projector mounts to. The lift works via a remote, but as you'll see at the end of the video, we automated the system so it runs via voice command. I wanted the TV to feel like it was fully integrated into the wall, but we're too limited on space to build too substantial of a built-in, so my solution was to create a bump-out wall that was just deep enough to recess the TV. But if it's going to be a feature wall, it needs to stand out. The product I used is a limewash paint from a company called JH Wall Paints. There's a link in the description below. It's a simple process that starts with a mineral primer that will allow the actual colored paint to grab onto the wall properly. I used a 5-inch block brush with soft bristles to lay down the first coat, moving in a crisscross pattern. This isn't traditional paint, so the pattern of your brush strokes really matters. I knew I wanted a lot of texture and a more gritty sort of look, so I eventually started applying the paint a little more randomly. But if you're after a more subtle look, you'd want to keep your crisscrossing more even. I also found it helped to keep the wall slightly damp. Out of the can, the paint is really thick. I distilled it down with some water to make it more spreadable, but I still found wetting the walls along the way helpful. One of the things that's a little tricky about this paint is that you can't tell what it's actually going to look like until it dries. I got a lot of texture from the first coat, so I went a bit softer on the second coat, and I thinned down the paint even more so it wouldn't be too opaque and end up hiding all of the grit from the first coat. It dried to a super matte finish that feels like velvet when you touch it and looks almost stone-like. I made the trim for the TV surround using some of the old trim we demoed throughout the house. I pulled out all the old nails and planed them down to a smooth finish. Then I ripped them down to size so they would be just a touch wider than the opening to create a subtle lip when installed. I also rounded out the edges so it's a bit softer to the touch. We used an in-wall Yamaha speaker as our center channel in our 5.1 surround sound setup. And as you may have seen in our whole home remodel video, we used pretty inexpensive Poke Audio ceiling mount speakers for our left and right and surround channels.
Google, start up the projector.